Hello, welcome to Over the Hill Yoga. In this beginner class, we are going to visit variations of low lunge. We'll do some half split variations, ending up on our back for some back work, and then a nice brief shavasana. Thank you for joining me. So we're going to begin in table pose, which is a quadruped position. Come on all fours. You could have your wrists under your shoulders or have your hands a little bit in front of. You could also come to fists if that feels good, or even your forearms. Another option is to put your forearms on blocks. So you decide what feels good for you, and we're just going to start to move your body. You just want to move in a manner that feels good in the body. Maybe close your eyes. You could do big circles, circling your shoulders around your wrists and your hips around your knees. Another nice option maybe is a serpentine shape, like a figure 8, or even barrel rolls with your ribs. Just starting to wake up your body a little bit. And then we'll shift forward and back. As you shift back, feel your hands press forward and your hips reach towards the heels. As you shift forward, feel the weight go in front of your wrists. And just notice what you're feeling on your hands. So we want to try to have the whole hand flat, shifting forward and shifting back. Just a couple more times. And the next time that you shift back, tuck your toes under and shift back. You're going to feel a stretch on the bottoms of your feet. Might feel good, and it might be a little bit painful. And come on forward, untuck your toes and shift back. Maybe shimmy your hips a little bit. And see if you could bring your big toes to touch behind. We're finding child's pose here. Steady breath. Lift your chest up and walk your arms over to the right. You may wish to take your right hand by your knee or even bring it behind you on the earth. As you anchor through your left hip, reach through your left arm. And see if you could feel some softness through the left side of your ribs. Almost like a letting go, letting the breath create a bit of space. Through center over to the left. And this time maybe your left hand reaches behind you. You could also leave it in front. And then we just watch the breath. Notice where you feel expansion in the body. And back to center. Come on up to table pose. Find your blocks. Super helpful to have blocks. And place your right foot at the front of the mat. Send your left knee back an inch or two, and then lift your chest up. Notice what you're feeling in your hips. Think of letting your hips be heavy. We're just going to press the right leg towards straight and bend the knee. Getting some movement in the knee, the hips, the front of your left thigh. The next time you shift back, flex your right foot and walk your hands back. So you could have the blocks. There's 3 different levels to the blocks. We're going to flex the right foot. You can have a bend in the knee. Point the right foot. Flex the right foot. Point. Flex. Keep the foot flexed. Tip it over to the right. See if you can feel something up in your hip socket. And then tip it in. And then tip it out. Take your blocks and walk them over to the right side of the mat. Take a couple breaths here. As you press the right heel down, try to pull the right leg back in space. Back to the front, bend your right knee, and step your right knee back to meet the left. Step your left foot forward. Start by taking the blocks to the highest level. Maybe send the right knee back a little bit. Lift the chest up. Notice if your shoulders are up by your ears. Try to relax your shoulders. And just a feeling of heaviness in the hips as we start to shift back and forth. The next time you shift back, walk the blocks back, flex your left foot. Think of your sternum drawing towards your big left toe. Point and flex. Point, flex. Keep the foot flexed. Tip it to the left. Tip it to the right. Tip it to the left and walk your hands over to the left side of the mat. And try to drag your left leg back energetically. So it's not actually moving. There's just a feeling like you're trying to drag it back. Come back to the front, bend your left knee. Lift your right knee up and step your right foot forward. Come into a forward fold here. Take your feet as wide as the mat. Find opposite elbows and just hang like at a Raggedy Ann doll over your legs. You could roll your shoulders, maybe some swaying. We want to bend the knees so that we're hinging at the hips and there's a chest to thigh connection, right? So we don't want to be here. We want to bend the knees and hinge at the hips. And bring your hands to the blocks, lift your chest up. And tick-tock your feet in hips distance. Bring your hands to your shins and pull your chest forward. Fold in. Step your left foot way back. Lower the left knee. Walk your hands up your right leg. And this is a really nice place if you have a blanket, just depending on what sort of surface you're working on, to put a blanket under your left knee. Reach your arms up in the air. And then slowly bend in and out of the right knee. So notice what you're feeling as you bend the knee. Let your hips get a little heavy. And then as you lift up, a sense of lifting up in the pelvis. Just starting to move in and out. And then we're going to find middle ground. Maybe your knee is above the ankle. Maybe it's a little forward or even a little back. But there is a sense of lifting up with the pelvis. The hips lift up. Reach your arms up in the air and take a breath. On an exhale, cactus, your arms lift your heart. Inhale, reach up. 2 more times. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lift. Once more, squeeze. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze together like you're holding a pencil. Inhale, reach up. Hands come down, blocks or the floor. Lift your left knee up. This is called runner's lunge. We're going to shift back, trying to press the right leg towards straight. It doesn't have to straighten, but there's a feeling of pressing the right foot down and forward and pulling this right hip back. Couple more times. Bend the knee, shift back. Bend the knee, shift back, and flex your right foot. Walk the hands back. Let your left heel be heavy. Bend the right knee, lower the left knee. Walk your blocks forward and then step your left foot to meet the right. Find some length. Pull your chest forward and fold in. Let your head hang down. Step your right foot way back. Move your blanket, if you're using it, under the knee. Walk your hands up your leg. And then when you're ready, reach your arms up in the air. And just bend in and out of the knee. Notice what you're feeling in your legs, the quality of your breath. And then find that middle ground, so we're not dumping, but we're also not way back here. There's a sense of scissoring the thighs, the right thigh pulling forward, the left foot pulling back. Reach your arms up in the air. Take a breath. As you exhale, cactus your arms. Feel your shoulder blades gently squeeze together. Inhale, reach up. 2 more times. Squeezing and reaching. Squeezing and reaching up. Bring your hands to the blocks. Lift your right knee up. And then shift back and forth. Bending and straightening to your degree. And when you bend your left knee, it is totally fine for it to go in front of the toes. We want to work the knee in a full range of motion and your ankle. So old school was that when you bent the knee, it had to be right above the ankle. But we want to use the whole range of motion. Good. And then shift back. Flex your left foot, walk your hands back, and think of your right heel being really heavy. Take a couple breaths. And maybe you could get rid of your blocks. Maybe not. And bend your left knee, lower the right knee, and take your left leg back so that your knees are together. Let's find child's pose again. Shift back and rest. Come to this place that is quiet. If your head doesn't touch the ground, you can always rest it on a block. Inhale, come on up to table pose. Find your blocks and step the right foot forward. Find low lunge. This is called Anjaneyasana. Anjaneyasana. Bring your right arm by your side and side bend over to the right. You could take your hand on your hip. Maybe you're putting it on a block. But see if you could think more up on the left side than down on the right side. So we're trying to make space in the left side of the body. Prayer twist. So a couple choices here. Either a prayer twist with your left elbow over the right knee, or an open arm twist, opening your arms wide. Decide what you'd like to do. Take a couple breaths. Notice if you're here, think of bending the right knee and letting your hips get heavy. And then notice if you're looking behind you. Think about looking in the direction that your chest is opening. Low lunge, arms reach up. Hands come down. Step your right knee back and step your left foot forward. I'm going to turn around so you can see me. Reach your arms up in the air. And then decide, open arm twist, so both thumbs are up when we come into a twist and the arms are wide. Or prayer twist, right elbow goes on the outside of the left knee. And then we press the palms together. And take a couple breaths here. Just watch yourself breathing. Feel your left foot, press it down, the heel, the ball mount. Inhale to low lunge. And bring your hands to the blocks. Step your left knee back. And we'll find child's pose again. So knees wide. You can also do child's pose with your knees together. That's totally fine too. Maybe bend your elbows and just take a couple breaths here. Inhale, come on up to table. So we're going to find downward facing dog pose. Take your hands as wide as the mat to give your body some room. Tuck your toes under. Let me turn around this way. Tuck your toes under. And feel your hands, look at them. Start to push them forward as you lift your knees up and send your hips back in space, and then just walk in place a little bit. Bend one knee, press the opposite heel down. Maybe bend both knees, lift your hips up in the air, and then lower your knees and come back to child's pose. And try that again. So anything that is on the ground is your foundation. And it is from a strong foundation that we're able to grow, right? So we want to find our hands, spread the fingers, push the mat down, and push it away from you. Peel your hips up and back. Let your head hang down. You could take your feet wide here, but let your knees bend and lift the hips way up in the air. Keep pushing the earth away. Lower your knees and come to child's pose. Inhale once more. Come on up. Tuck your toes under. Downward dog. And take your time. You're going to walk your hands to your feet. And as you do that, look at your hands. Take your feet as wide as the mat. This time we're going to interlace the hands behind the back. Let your head hang down. So something you could do, I don't have a strap here, but you could hold a strap between your hands, or you could hold a sock if your shoulders are tight. Release the head and think of lifting the head of the shoulders up as you let your head hang down. And then steady breath. Release your hands to the earth, lift your chest up. Bend your left knee. If you have a block, place it in front of your left foot. Bring your left hand to the block, bend your left knee, and lift your right arm up in the air. And then switch sides. Bend the right knee, place the block in front of the right foot, and lift your left arm up in the air. And left hand down. Tick-tock your feet in. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Hands to shins. Pull your chest forward. Fold in, let your head go. We're walking back to downward dog. You're going to look at your hands, right? There's no rush. It's not easy to move yourself around on a mat. Good. Find downward dog. Bend your knees. Inhale to plank pose, top of a push-up, and then back to downward dog. Inhale to plank pose. Look forward. Lower your knees and shift back to child's pose. Inhale to plank or to table. Tuck your toes, downward dog. Inhale to plank. Lower your knees, child's pose. Good. Inhale, come onto your belly. Come on up and just make your way onto your belly. Reach your arms forward, bring your forehead to the mat, and take a breath. And see if you could feel your breath in the back of your body. A sense of expansion through the ribs. Bring your hands outside of the mat, way up high on your finger pads. Bring the elbows way up in the air. So we want the hands off the mat. Pick up one leg, reach through the toes, and place the foot back down. And do the same with the other leg. Reach through the toes and place it back down. And then we press through the feet. Press your pelvis down. Press your fingers down and lift your head, chest, and heart up. And come on down. Good, just a couple more times. I think this is called oscillating cobra. So notice if your hands are like here, think of way up high and you're using your fingers. And as you come up, If your shoulders are way up here, see if you could relax them. And take your fingers maybe forward. See what that feels like. Reach through the toes. You could start to drop one shoulder and then the other. And then bring your hands by your ribs. Spread your fingers wide and just make sure your hands are nice and wide. Hug the elbows in. And start to press your hands down. And without moving them, think of pulling them back. Almost like you're trying to drag your body forward. And then lift your head, chest, and heart. So notice if you're here. And think of relaxing the shoulders. And come on down. We'll do that once more. Cobra pose. Another way you could find this is that the shoulders go to the ears, the ceiling, and as you melt them down, we pull with the arms and lift up. Lower down. Good. Let's press to child's pose. Use your arms. Press up through table and send your hips back. Child's pose. And then come on up to table. We're going to come onto our back side. And when you get to your back, bend your knees and place your feet flat on the earth. And just take a moment to feel yourself in this shape. And press your feet down and lift your hips up. And lower down. Let's do that 2 more times. Press your feet down, lift your hips up. And lower down. And once more. Press down with your feet, lift your hips up. I like to do robot arms. So it's like the fingers face the sky. I press the back of the arm into the earth and maybe roll the shoulder blades underneath a little bit. And take a couple breaths. Notice what's going on in your feet. See if you could press the foot down and then start to pull it towards the body without moving it. You're going to feel the back of your legs kick in a little bit. And then lower down. Good. Let your spine settle. Take your arms wide. You could cactus them if you'd like. Take your feet as wide as the mat and just windshield wiper your knees left and right. And the next time they go over to the right, let them stay there. You could look straight up or you could gaze to the left or even close your eyes. Let your breath go. And then bring your legs back to center. Take your feet nice and wide and let your legs tip over to the left. And then you gaze over to the right. So if your legs don't come down, you can always put a block under your thigh for some support. It might feel good. And we're looking here to let go. And part of that is noticing where you might be holding. So think of your inner thighs. Notice if you're holding there. And just see if you could let that go. And allow yourself to breathe into the right side of the body. See if you could feel your belly rise up as you breathe in, and then lower down as you exhale. And come on back to center. Take a moment to find center. And then just stretch your legs long and wide and we'll rest here for a couple of minutes. Again, practicing letting go. yourself to feel heavy. And think of softening and letting go. Start to deepen your breath. Invite movement to your fingers and toes, ankles, wrists. And reach your arms overhead. Point your toes. Anything that feels good here. And then slowly bend your knees one at a time. You could leave your right arm overhead as you roll over to your right side, resting your head on your arm. And just take a breath here. And then make your way up to seated. And find a comfortable seat. You could sit up on a block. I like to sit up on a block. You could sit with your legs in front of you. I'll just take a moment to sit. You could close your eyes or find a gazing point on the floor in front of you. Think of having a strong spine and a soft front. And gently bring your hands to heart center, press your palms together. And thank you for joining me. Namaste.